How Jeff Goldblum went from playing in bars as a teen to singing with Ariana Grande. Sharing a Zoom call with Jeff Goldblum on a Monday morning is exactly as you might imagine if you've ever seen the man in action. I would need a week's supply of caffeinated beverages on ice to be as full of life as he was from the time the conversation started. And Goldblum could not have been more charming or more colorful as we discussed his love of jazz, how he got into acting and how his habit of breaking into songs between takes on the set of Wicked led to co-stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo guesting on Still Blooming, his latest collection of jazz standards. We even talked about his childhood in West Homestead, Pennsylvania, because, well, you'll see. The reason for the call was that Goldblum is bringing his Mildred Snitzer Orchestra to the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix on Labor Day weekend for 4 concerts in 2 days in support of Still Blooming, which also features guest vocals by Scarlett Johansson. This is how it went after exchanging our initial pleasantries. And then after a couple of years, he gave me a jazz arrangement of something and I was just so into that. There's something in me that it likes syncopation and all that stuff. Then I just sat and played until I knew how to play that piece. And that's when I started to get better. Then I started to look for jobs. Even though I'd already gotten the bug and the idea to be an actor, I got the yellow pages and started to call cocktail lounges around Pittsburgh and say, "Hey, I understand you need a piano player." They'd say, "How old are you?" "What? What? No, we don't have a piano." But some would say, "Oh, well, yeah, come on over and play. Let's see what you can do," and I got a couple of jobs that way. That's how I started. Question: how old were you playing piano in a bar? A. 14, 15. We had some fake books around with the lead sheets and stuff. I was fooling around with those and my parents sought out and found Frank Cunimando, who was a real jazz player and recorded some things. I've talked to him and seen him recently. We've gone back to Pittsburgh and played together for a little bit. But anyway, they sent me to his house, and on his piano he started to teach me more about improvisation and jazz. And that set me up. Then I moved to New York and I kept a piano in my apartment. My first job was a musical. And I fooled around in the basement with the pit players. As you know, in Broadway shows, sometimes some of these jazz musicians get jobs and play there. Then I snuck into some movies, like The Fly and Earth Girls Are Easy, and some plays. Then about 30 years ago, we started to play out and about, and we formed this band. Then Tom Lewis from Decca several years ago saw me promoting Thor, Ragnarok on the Graham Norton Show. Gregory Porter was on the show promoting that Nat King Cole album and he was gonna sing Mona Lisa. He said, "I just do this with a piano player. Jeff, do you want to play with me?" We looked at it backstage once and I played on the show. And Tom Lewis said, "Maybe I should do an album with Jeff." That's how this started. Now we've just released our 4th album on Decca and Verve. And we're having a great time with that. This one is better than ever, I think. Ariana Grande sings on this one, of course, and Cynthia Erivo and Scarlett Johansson. It sounds great. If I could backtrack for a second, you talked about learning the one piece your piano teacher gave you. Was that how jazz become your thing? Well, my dad loved jazz and he brought home, luckily, right at that moment, Errol Garner's new album called Errol Garner Plays Misty, the song he had just written. We played that on our hi-fi over and over again, and my dad was enchanted by that. So that kind of got me into it. Then my older brother, he was 4 years older than I was. In my early teen years, he was already into the modern jazz quartet and that Astrid Gilberto/Stan Getz album and Miles Davis. He brought home sketches of Spain, I remember. That would be on all the time. So it was around. And I really fell for it. Question: you were practically a teenager when the British invasion hit. Were you into rock as a kid or were you strictly jazz? I was more into Motown. And Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin. At the dances around, at West Mifflin North and Calhoun Junior High School, they'd play a lot of Diana Ross, you know, Stop in the Name of Love, and Smokey Robinson and all that. So I was into that, and then my older brother started to talk countercultural language in some way, and there was something mysterious going on. He took me to his apartment because he was the first one to move out and get a place of his own. And he played for me, I think, the White Album maybe. Or Sgt. Pepper's or Magical Mystery Tour.